Welcome to the Evenings with Irina at the Fireplace. Today, I would like to talk to you about people who steal our peace, our joy, people who really aggravate us. Everybody has people who are not necessarily too pleasant to us. And specifically today, I wanted to talk about people who always talk about something negative. They come to your life, they always find something that is bad, that is not right. It could be anywhere. It could be with the society. It could be with the health. There are those who love to talk about what's wrong with their health in some details. People who literally steal your joy. And I should say that in the past, I pretty much canceled many people. And now looking back, see, right now you are getting already broken in Irina, version of Irina. I'm basically fast forwarding about 25, if not 35 years, because I thought that if I share my experience, perhaps it can help somebody, or perhaps we can together find even better solutions that I came up with. I'm not saying that I found the best of the best, but I did make mistakes and I did cancel people that looking back, I'm thinking I could have found something. I could have, and now I'm thinking there were different ways how I could approach a situation. And I'm not saying that it's always right that, yes, there are times when some people, well, then we need to distance ourselves from those people. But today, I'm sharing my experience. I also have done extensive research of psychological publication, what psychologists tell about this. And I'm also looked at esoteric and religion. And today I'm presenting answers that pretty much everybody agrees upon. So all these answers, everybody, regardless of their field, they all agree on what I'm going to present to you today. Before we begin, and because I'm just beginning the channel, request please subscribe, put like if you can, and let's begin. So I'm going to talk about three things. One is about 45, which is when we're 45, our boundaries are very important to us. Our boundaries are incredibly important, and we need to, and I will be talking about how we can protect our boundaries in a very good way for us, for other people, for pretty much everybody. And here's why I'm thinking about it. The research is consistent. We as human beings, and especially women, we need to have other people in our life. And what you're doing right now, you're doing a great thing for yourself. You're right now with me, with other people on this channel. So it's very important to us. But in addition to that, we need to have one-on-one connection, face-to-face connection in person, communication in person. But did you notice that the older people get, the smaller circle of communication they have? And it's not really because people are gone even from this planet, but because communicating becomes very unpleasant and people are just so uncomfortable that they're like, I don't want to deal with that anymore. I am too old for that. I'm going to just cancel this person. And then we see that these people are pretty much alone, and then they're trying to reach to their children instead. And children are adults and building their families, having their children, having their life. And they cannot possibly substitute for us, women over 45 and older. They cannot substitute the rest of the world for us. We need to have our own friends, and my sincere hope is that many of us will find friends on this channel. So please write a comment, write your opinion, and that way people can find you, you can find people, and perhaps we can create this community, a supportive community of women, which is incredibly important for all of us. We all need it. Our brain does not produce certain hormones of happiness unless we have other people, but not any people. It's people who are supportive, who are growing wings for us, who allow us to be better and more resourceful. You know, there are people you talk to and you feel like somebody totally sucked all energy and life out of you. And there are other people, you talk to them and you are, after the conversation, flying. It's like you grew wings and you can do a lot. They're supportive of what they're doing. They're supportive of your beginnings. They are there, but they're for you in a very healthy and specific way. Now, there are other people, as I said at the beginning, who are complaining, who are just doing things that are very difficult for us. So what can we do? The first thing is you have right to your boundaries, and you do have right to tell people and let people know what you're comfortable with, not comfortable with. The question is how. And one way, when somebody starts on this path of negativity, try and see if you tell them something in terms of what's of interest to you. You should know something about that person. Perhaps you can think about what are common interests? Where can you find some intersection between what's interesting to you and to them? And let's say they're not going to go that way, and they're continuing on their path of negativity. They're continuing to give you grief, and they continue to pretty much give you hard times. What do you do? Well, if the first does not work and you cannot do that, well, then you pretty much can offer your experience. Let's say the person is talking about some personal issue. You could say, well, I had similar experience. Offer your experience and see if the person actually wants to have some help, or the person really just trying to vent, just venting. And I can tell you, for venting, there are psychologists and there are cats. Both are really excellent listeners. But you can offer once, you can offer a solution once, and again, see if that's welcome. If not, we need to respect the boundaries of that person. And that person has the right to be where they are. And you can respect what they want to do in this life, but at the same time you can respect your own boundaries and set up your own boundaries. I heard an interesting story about a woman. So the husband was, like all of us people are at different levels of intellectual development, cultural development, spiritual development. And so the husband was pretty developed, but the wife, she was very pretty, very attractive. They had kids already. He worked hard, but then he also knew how to rest and have fun. So he's watching a football on TV, and she's cleaning. And not only she's cleaning, but she's making sure that he knows that she's cleaning and how miserable she is and how much she deserves his pity and how pitiful she is. So she's vacuuming, making noises. She's doing all sorts of things. Finally, she comes to the living room where he is watching TV. And he's like, honey, are you going to the kitchen? And she's like, yes, more cleaning needs to be done. I have to clean there. So basically trying to put him on a guilt trip that he's watching TV and she is so hardworking. And he turns to her and say, honey, could you bring me some beer from the refrigerator? He was not falling for what she was selling. And eventually she got so hungry for what he had, the stability, the joy of life, the peace. And they had the same difficulty in terms of financial difficulties at that time, growing up family. I mean, it was difficult, but the reaction of two of them was the difference was just ginormous. And she eventually she wanted to have what he had. And now, and that's fast forward 40 years, she's an amazing woman, very positive, growing wings to everybody. She is living a happy life, and she says she never wanted to get back to that swamp. Basically, she was in a swamp, he was flying high, and she just wanted to get here where he was. And my point is that you have the right to decide whether people will stay in your orbit. Picture yourself as a bright sun, you're shining. Some people should be on a very close orbit to you. Like in my example of that woman and her husband, they were married, they had kids, they loved each other, both were incredibly attracted to each other, both respected each other. So there was a really strong foundation for that marriage, except she was a very negative person, but she learned, and eventually she just wanted to have what he had, and only because he was that stable. And she was putting a lot of pressure on him to get in the swamp, He wouldn't barge. He respected his boundaries. He respected where he was. He respected his life and who he was, and he knew he deserves to be who he is. And eventually she joined him. But there are people that perhaps need to be on the second orbit from the sun, third, and so on. And yes, maybe there are some people that need to be outside of your orbit. But regardless, even if you decide that some person at the moment needs to be outside of your orbit, the question is how you do that. How do you put that person, and is it permanent? Or ask yourself if you're willing to leave the door open. If you outlined for somebody that these are the topics you're interested in, and if that person has topics that person wants to talk to you about, you can leave the door open. And you can pretty much make sure that that person knows that they can come back to you, that your door is open, and you're accepting their choice. You're not judging. See, the big thing is not to judge and just accept people where they are. At the same time, make sure that you pretty much highlight that this is where you are and you just don't want to go into that swamp at the moment. But there are options, and you're willing to help, and you're willing to talk about fun stuff or talk about serious stuff, but in a productive way, not just to vent. If there is a solution, yes, let's brainstorm, let's find a solution. But if it's just to vent and make everybody, including you and them and everybody around, feel miserable and spread negativity, then no. Do you need to be a part of negativity, or do you want to fly high and somewhere in the sky? And look, something is always happening in life, and everybody has something. And it's okay to let people know that something is happening in your life, so people know. But for what reason? What is the reason of you or somebody else letting somebody know that something is not going right? Is it just leave me alone for a while? Is it let's brainstorm and find a solution? Or is it just to rent? Is it just to a past? It's a dead end. People are just like those hamsters in a hamster wheel. They're just running. And that hamster wheel somehow attracts more and more negativity. So it turns into that snowball, which is just rolling from the top of the hill and gets more and more snow and larger and larger. And then it has consequences. It has consequences not only for our mental health, but eventually this negativity will show up on your physical health. And there are psychosomatic reasons for a lot of illnesses people have. We just don't know about that. But I will talk about that, and I do consult people personally one-on-one on that issue who approach me, because there are psychosomatic reasons, and we can break the circle and get out of our illnesses if we break that circle. But a person must want to know. The person must have this desire to get out of the swamp and get to the next level. And yes, we can all have shiny eyes, and yes, things are happening. As I said, you see a broken in version of Irina. If you look at me 20 years ago, I was very down in the depression, but now I got out of it, and I'm very happy to share how. And I'm sharing the steps. It took more than this, but this is definitely an important step to decide who is in your orbit, at what distance from you, and how to deal with people and how not to cancel people. And that really, this acceptance allows us this peace of mind and joy in us. And that's what I would like to share with you, Joy. Have a wonderful day, evening, wherever you are. Love you all. Bye.